Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond the White Noise Paranormal Videocast. Tonight, we have on my new co-host, or actually we call him Aaron Pikey O'Rourke. He is actually from, believe it or not, Conspiracy Corner, so he is a conspiracy junkie. Me, I understand conspiracy like I do calculus. So basically, what's going on tonight, we got the one, the only, Barry Fitzgerald, once of GHI, but now he's Top Hat. He's officially Top Hat. Barry Top Hat Fitzgerald. We love it. Thanks for coming on tonight, Barry. We really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, lads, for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
No, we should be thanking you for having us, mate. The way things have been just previous to going on here.
All good. All good.
I've only just stopped sweating.
All right.
What's new then, Barry?
Well, I just finished putting the last chapter together for my latest novel, The Malice of Darkness, which follows in a series of books, the first of which is called The Council of Three. It's an introduction to what is coming within the series of novels. And these novels, I have interjected elements of folklore, ufology, and everything else, which I was seeing a pattern with, a connection with a lot of those particular worlds, which were melding and morphing into each other, and I've joined them together to create this story and present facts that very much like the ancient Irish, the storytellers, the bards of Irish folklore, told stories because of symbology and everything else. The essence of the story was delivered through this essence of poetry and storytelling, and that's what I've done with the Council of Three and the Malice of Darkness, and I've just put pen to paper now on the third installment, which of course is called Fracture, and it's going wonderfully well, and thankfully what I'm writing about hasn't tried to kill me just quite yet.
Yeah, this show might end up doing that. To be quite honest with you. Kate, what's going on with you, dude? How's stuff with you?
Things are going well with me, man. Just working at the museum, as Aaron calls it, the dead zone, because our youngest people that actually visit the place are probably 85. And I spend most of the time watching paint dry and giving tours. The house was built in 1815. It's got a lot of folklore of it being haunted, supposedly apparitions, this, that, and the other. And what I'm doing right now is I'm starting to collect basically stories from every one of the house. And at that time, what I'm going to do with that is put pen to paper, as Barry stated earlier, and make it kind of a short deal, or I might actually just type it up on the internet and put it in the blog, what happened now. And we do have a blog. And Barry, yes, we will hit you up to type in the blog, whether you want to or not.
There's something I should say here, and this is something that I've seen, which is a pet hate of mine per se, in that the knowledge that is being delivered today is being delivered across the internet. It's being delivered in electronic form, and like ebooks, which I despise, I have to say. But if for instance I need information from a book that's 100 years old, I turn around to the bookshelf and I lift a particular book, and the same technology, the same essence behind that idea of lifting a book and searching the words remains the same. Technology does not. Every 15 years we're losing a huge amount of information because the technology cannot read the older versions. Yeah. And that's my fear for us as a race. I'm saying, oh my God, if 100 years down the line, I'm not going to be able to read this in an ebook form. The technology is going to have progressed so far that information is going to be lost, and that's a great fear of mine. unlike paper books itself, we're able to go back and look at books. I'm studying at the moment. I'm studying a manuscript from the 2nd century in Irish folklore.
That's awesome.
And this is something which is it's there. You know, it's something you can touch. Something you can feel. But I just fear for the technology.
It's going to ruin
it. And my idea from your standpoint would be, please do write it down on paper. Otherwise, that will be lost.
Translation.
My missus is the same. She prefers an actual book to an e-reader like a Kindle or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not a massive reader. I'll be honest. I do read books, and I see your points with everything you've said. It does. You can, but to physically hold the book open, I think it's better than staring at it. Plus, if you're lying there reading it in bed and you've got a paperback, you're reading through it, if it falls and hits you on the face, it's not going to hurt as much as Kindle, is it?
Yeah,
so there's that advantage as well.
Well, I walked into Barnes and Noble the other day, and my girlfriend was in town, and it's been years since I've actually walked into a bookstore, because I like to order books off Amazon dirt cheap. You know, you get the Goodwill books for a penny and $3. But translation is lost. Primary source documents, as you're talking about the manuscript with history, as it progresses online, it's going to lose all meaning. It's going to lose all honesty. Yeah. It's going to lose everything. It was actually the feeling of it is not there. Yeah. When I read about slavery, or I read about, let's say, how many people died, actually Irish in my area, building a tunnel on a canal, I'm reading primary source documents or old newspapers or anything that I can get my hands on, because there's something more to it, as Aaron was saying about his missus, that I think is true, because I can't do an ebook. I bought them and I can't get through them.
Yeah. No, there is of course there is an aspect of history is written by the victor, and we need to understand that as well. Even with reading paper books, we need to understand that there's an essence here that we need to step back from and try and find that middle road. But I find it's easier to find a paperback than it is in digital form. I find that the internet itself is a cesspool of false information, which is growing exponentially.
Has your name?
If you look at the likes of Wikipedia, you know, anybody can go on and update a Wikipedia page.
Exactly.
I was going to make one for Kate a while ago.
Oh. Okay. My feelings are hurt, because I'd have to fire back, and next thing you know, we just make it a cesspool even worse. You know, we take it to a whole nother. We'll take it to a whole nother level. That
we'd go where Kim Kardashian comes, and we would break the internet. I think.
Yeah, we break the internet.
Yeah. I've just noticed there on the live chat room we've got going. One of our regular viewers, Ed Becker, he's also an author. He's just had his book 202 go to #1 on Amazon. So it'd be nice to get his views on what type of reading material he prefers. I don't mean like what books he reads, but you know, if it's books, e-reader, boy do I agree with him. So yeah, I think he's pretty much in the whole give me the paper version.
Yeah, it's old school. I think old school's best, because I'm probably old school right now. I think
yours was Slate, wasn't it, Kate?
Yeah, I think I was there when Jesus was born. I feel like that these days. I swear to God. I tell you, man, I'm getting to that age where I'm going. I had a senior moment yesterday, which was, you know, long story, but we won't get into that. And Aaron had to bear with me through my senior moment. I figured, you know, I'm 46 years old. Yeah, I'm 40. Yeah, he had to stroke me on the head so I wouldn't stroke out or something like that. And I was basically, and it was just over the internet. It was just something I read that I honestly mistook, you know, because you lose meaning when you don't contact someone or see visual or hear a voice. I can send a text and it comes across as maybe a little strong, or maybe it comes across as something which wasn't meant that way. And I fell prey to that yesterday, because it was one of those days, dude, you know. You have the day where everything is poking at you, and then one other thing pops on top, and then you lose it. All right.
Well, you want to talk about a senior moment? I was lying in bed, and I was absolutely aching with pain, from muscular pain, because of the extensive gardening that I was doing. And I lay in bed, and you know, whenever you get to the certain age where you go, oh, you start to verbalize the pain that you're going through.
I haven't got
and I started to lie in bed and went, ooh. To which I thought to myself, what on earth have I done? The voice in my head said, it's probably the garden. To which verbally I said, you're probably right. Now that was a typical senior moment, to which I just erupted into laughter. My wife, who was lying beside me, had no idea what the hell was going on. She wasn't part of the conversation. But that was a senior moment.
You see, you know, your missus must have been looking, thinking, bloody hell is he talking about? I'm finally lost it. I'm ringing the quacks. He can go in the funny farm, let him. It's no, I haven't got to that stage in my life yet. I mean, I'm still in the south part of 30, so.
Oh, Aaron, it's coming, it's coming. Embrace it, embrace it.
Oh, mate, believe me, I'm growing old disgracefully. I plan on growing old disgracefully.
Yes, that's the best way. That's the best way.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no two ways about it. Time catches up with everybody. I mean, look at Kurt, for example. You know, you can see the guys had a paper round, and it must have been all uphill. You know what I mean?
I lived the hard life as a younger person. Now that I'm sober and actually I can get the most simple words out of my mouth without actually doing anything, man. I swear, Barry. When you get to a certain age, it's weird. You know, you get the feeling. Aaron's older than his years. I'm giving him that because he is. But at the same time, man, you're probably roughly around the same age I am, maybe a little younger. But it's just that moment, you know. It's like things aren't the same anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So because your eyesight's going, mate. That's what it is.
It is. Aaron, it is. I'm sitting there, right? I'm trying to hook up. I got this new phone, right? The new Samsung Galaxy 4. Note 4. I am excited. But then I'm trying to find the network key on the bottom of my modem to connect in it. I have one of those tactical flashlights hanging out of my mouth, have it upside down, and that is the only way I could read it. And I'm just going like, oh, God.
I should have seen him with his last one, Barry. He was looking for the, you know, on the old phones back in the 80s, you used to have to put your finger in the slot and pull the number round.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
he got on. We were actually having a meeting on here, and he said, "Where the bleeding hell's the dialer? I can't do the twisty thing." Like, it's okay, you know. I think you should get your money back, mate.
Yeah, I was hitting the corner. I was trying to. Yeah, at that point, that got ugly. But Barry,
Ed Beck is saying he's dying here. Wait till you see 70. You will. Well, I can't say that.
Okay. Hey Barry, let's go back into. Let's jump back into. Let's go back into your time in the paranormal world. Yeah. All right, way back. Well, not too way back. I still can see you on Netflix or some other channels I pull up and stuff like that. I mean, bottom line, first off, how did you get involved in the paranormal before anything else took place?
I think that in itself was something that was brought on by my younger years. I have to say, I think it was 5 years of age whenever I got to see my first apparition, and it was Christmas Eve. And at that particular time, as a child of 5 years of age, you know, you assume the stranger on the stairs. Oh my God, it's Santa. And it was Christmas Eve, so I was taming 1 and 1 equals 2, and it was only years later that my parents confided that the house itself was haunted, and my mother was seeing a lot of things in the house as well, and it was known within the community as being haunted. But of course, our family were in it, and it was then that I said, "Well, hold on a second. I saw something," and all this started to track off, and I think that was one of the cornerstones that set me onto the road of why, when, and where. I think my father, of course, was responsible as well, because maybe to keep his children quiet, he sat me in front of the new color television, and set me down in front of episodes of TNG Star Trek, and the original Star Trek, and of course Doctor Who. And I think as I was going through school and being taught how to read, I was then going to the newspaper and starting to look for Doctor Who, only to mix it up with Doctor Who. I could tell you what, the hatred that spawned from turning on the television, sitting down to expect to see Doctor Who, and Doctor Who came on. That, oh my God, the hatred! I'm surprised that guy isn't dead, or wasn't dead before what he was doing then. It was horrendous. I was furious as a child because Doctor Who was on and not Doctor Who.
See, I'm sure there could have been a little niche there really with the Doctor Who series and Doctor Who. As a child, I suppose it is easy enough to get them mixed up. I could have had his music playing in the TARDIS. Maybe a future #1 hit. You never know.
Yeah. So I think my father introducing me to sci-fi and everything else was another one of those cornerstones to finding out what else is out there, what really is happening, and of course, you know, I've been involved with the field now over 2 decades, and it's really now I found it has really opened up and taken me in hugely variant different paths, along with legend seekers and everything else, to looking at old manuscripts of Irish mythology and everything else. To see these unusual mysteries that were starting to develop, which in itself you can see. Hold on a second. Why were elements SETI covering these stories up? You know, what was really going on? What was happening? What was St. Patrick here to really do? These serpents that they talk about. Ireland doesn't have serpents, for God's sake. You know, that was an easy job for St. Patrick to come into Ireland and get rid of serpents. There was none. But with Legend Seekers, I was introduced to something that brought me to that other side, where I can say, hold on a second, there's something more to this than meets the eye, which for 1,500 years has tried to be covered.
So do you think the serpent story was maybe a metaphor for, you know, I don't know, like a slippery monarchy over there at that time, or, you know, whoever was ruling? No?
Understanding now, the work that I'm doing now, and understanding archaeological acoustics, we're now starting to figure out what the hell the Neolithic people were doing. Not the Celts. The Celts were here for a short period of time, and yet we sell loads and loads of trinkets for the Celts, for the tourists and everything else. Oh, the Celts, they've got all this wonderful stuff going on. But the Celts had such a small influence on the island of Ireland. We need to go back pre-Celt to understand what was going on. We have tombs not 10 miles from where I am here, which predate the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Jeez.
Really?
I can access them. And we understand now from an acoustical standpoint what on earth they were doing. And that in itself, you know, we're able to understand this doorway that was being opened within these chambers. You know, you took to yourself, you say, well, passage chamber, for instance, that term passage chamber. Passageway to where exactly? And whenever you understand that, whenever you look at this from an aerial standpoint, these passage chambers are designed in a way which mimics the Celtic cross. This was a cross that was meant to be given to the Irish in the 3rd century AD, yet this design goes back thousands of years.
Does it differ much to what you've got today?
If you start mixing acoustics with that design, suddenly we have got a secret to a doorway which is hidden directly in front of us for thousands of years.
Barry, when you're talking acoustics, can you let our watchers know what you're exactly talking about? Because some people might not be up on acoustics.
Let me see if I can find them. a great marker here. There's one there. A piece of paper. This is great about video, you know. You're able to do this. Now, 75% of Neolithic artwork appears in Ireland. Throughout the entire the entire essence of Europe, 75% of Neolithic artwork appears in Ireland. In particular, the Boyne Valley. So there was something very, very important going on there. Now we got to understand, in the Boyne Valley we had 3 huge structures which were buried. Something happened that they buried these. But within the structures we find a particular symbol. I'm just going to draw this symbol out here and put it up to the webcam. You'll be able to see it. This symbol, this spiral, which is very, very common and very familiar to people today, we are told is a symbol which represents the universe, which represents life and death, and which represents the star movement and water and everything else. However, if we put 3 people in that particular chamber, I'm also going to draw the chamber beside, because you've got to understand, when you move into the passage chamber, you travel along a stone corridor, and in the stone corridor you enter into a round circle, and off that circle there are 3 sub-chambers. Celtic cross. Okay.
Oh, that is cool.
Now that structure predates the Great Pyramids of Giza. Now, if you put men into that structure, we are able to create a resonance frequency using a voice, a deep throat resonance, and that resonance creates a situation in our brains. What that does is creates a resonance frequency that shuts down the left-hand hemisphere of the brain. It's the only frequency in the laboratory that will shut down the left-hand hemisphere of the brain and open up the psychic right-hand side, your intuition, the seat of your feminine. And everyone male, female, all have a male-female counterpart within themselves. They have a plus, minus, black, white, yin and yang. Now, from this particular standpoint, the feminine was associated with the seat of our intuition. Now, when you created the frequency, the proper frequency, which is 110 hertz, this low tone frequency created this resonance, which we speculate opened up the doorway. It also enhanced the psychic right. Now, from my experience, and this was something that I wasn't planning on doing, it was something that I was thrown into, kicking and screaming, and I swore I would never go back to this place. I ended up in a situation where I saw what was on the other side of that doorway, and that was a place that St. Patrick, the things on the other side of that doorway, St. Patrick fought against, and his proteges fought against, and became known as the serpents. Now, that frequency, when we put the vibration of that frequency onto a vibrating plate and run that at 110 hertz, we create that. This is a symbol that was inscribed in the sides of our temples before the Great Pyramids of Giza. This was not an indication of what was going on with the planets, of what was happening with the life and everything else. This was a starter button to open the doorway within those.
No, they were ahead of their game. They were definitely ahead of their game.
Something went wrong. This is the big thing that we're starting to see now, and more to the point, this manuscript that I'm studying now, which is the oldest manuscript that we have in the public arena, which is the 2nd century. This manuscript itself really delves into the idea and development of the universe and everything else, and it even even suggests the dark sun that raped the beautiful daughter of the earth, the colliding of the moon with the earth. How on earth did the Celtic people know this? There's no way that they would have understood that the moon itself hit the earth to where we have the two planets together. And in the 10th century, we also have the same writers that were involved in that particular manuscript were also writing in the 10th century and adding 9 gods which represented the 9 planets in our solar system.
Wow.
Pluto was not discovered until 1930.
Yeah, Pluto was late to the party.
Yeah, how on earth were they writing in the 10th century of the 9 planets? We can only see 6. Even right back into the into the Sumerian, into the Celtic or the Greek and Roman times, they were only seeing 6. How on earth in the 10th century were the Celts writing about 9? So there's a huge mystery of what on earth is going on this island, and that is only starting to be uncovered now, and it's something which I'm really excited about.
How did you
to understand what on earth is going on?
How did you get involved in this, though, Barry? I mean, you think about this. I mean, honestly, in the world we live in today of fast-paced, everybody's got this.
Yep.
That is deep, and I'm being honest. This is deep stuff you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
This idea, this theory, or this whatever you want to actually call it is something that
it's almost unfathomable, isn't it?
It's very unfathomable, Aaron. I agree with you.
With my co-author, Cormac Strain, we wrote a book called Legend Seekers.
Okay.
That particular book itself deals with a story which we examine the old myths and legends of Ireland. One of those stories is called the Island of the Dead. And this is the place that I refuse to go back to because of the circumstances that we were thrown into, which I had never anticipated. I had completely underestimated because of the world of the paranormal, which we're always told, oh, this flew off the shelf and that flew off the shelf and everything else. And you think, oh, yeah. But when we were told the story and read the story from the old manuscripts of what was going on in this island, we completely underestimated what was about to happen. That was the introduction which lifted me from the world of the paranormal and the ghost element and set me square and truly onto this new avenue of investigation, which opens up this whole new idea of something which is so ancient that was hidden, and secrets that were hidden directly in front of us thousands of years.
Okay, are you working with any universities right now on this theory, or any professors, or anyone that you get funded by?
This is all self-funded. In fact, we are fighting at the moment to get a TV show called Legend Seekers, which will delve into these legends and myths of Irish lore on this particular island. Because not only that, but we also look at High Brazil. And from one of the books that I dealt with, we were able to find a particular island aspect which matches a map which was taken, a scan of the ocean bed that was taken 2 years ago by the Irish Geological Society. And we find, hold on a second, there's a map here that was designed in the 1400s which matches what we're seeing today. And today that island, or back then, that island was known as High Brazil, and it's 200 feet under the...
Did you get the lung out, Aaron?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I was just double checking you. All right, we're gonna. This would make YouTube real quick if Aaron just flops. Hey, don't worry, Barry. We'll continue the interview and we'll call 999 later. We'll hope somebody finds him. But I'm kidding. But no, it's interesting because you're taking a new theory that I think goes above and beyond what. And I'm gonna go back to the whole paranormal investigation aspect of it. It just morphs it. it morphs what we're doing in the field right now with looking for EVPs, looking for, let's say, you're looking for a shadow figure or an anomaly that runs across the screen going that fast, and you slow the camera down to focus on it. It morphs it. It just morphs what's out there right now.
I think it also, if you look at it a different way, it's like looking for loose change, isn't it? With the whole EVP, shadow figures, you know, books flying off shelves coming at you, you know, it's almost loose change as opposed to
be honest,
what you're doing at the minute.
I absolutely think that we are being played for fools whenever we start looking for EVPs and everything else. I think we've underestimated, and we are being played the fools at this particular aspect. I think, you know, there are warnings throughout the ages that we need to test the spirit, test these things that we're communicating with. And the problem is, from a modern aspect, we are not doing that. We are not finding the true nature of this particular thing, whatever it is. Because if the truth of the matter comes down to it, we don't know what the hell this thing is on the other side of this veil. And we can say, okay, I feel it's the spirit of Uncle Bertie, it's the spirit of Auntie Bertha, or whatever, but we don't know.
So what you're saying is basically the surface hasn't even been scratched yet, has it?
Exactly.
With all,
and that is the thing. From a modern sense, we are becoming more and more blinded to what is communicating with us, and more to the point, the influence that those particular things have on us on a biological level, because no one rarely even considers the possibility that talking to these particular things can have an effect on us from a biological level. And more to the point, our food and drink that we consume before we even go to an investigation can influence the way that we mix with these spirits.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing that needs to be understood. And what we find today is that a lot of folks are in this field for entertainment. They're in for the thrill.
Yeah,
and as you indicate, money. And not understanding the real essence and actual threat that people can come under. This underestimation of what is actually out there and how it interferes with us. But there is there is ideas out there, there are theories out there, and there are papers out there which describe how we can take that back. But the problem that we face today is that we have a society that does not want to learn.
Well, we're learning.
They're out for thrills.
Yeah, we're learning also, though, Barry, too, is we're learning, not necessarily I'm saying Aaron or myself are learning from, I blame social media, I blame television shows, I blame, you say your thrill seekers that aren't going in depth even more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I blame those three things. Yeah. I mean, we got Zach Bagans.
You also got to understand as well that the rules have changed.
Okay.
There has been, in essence, the rules that we followed 50 years ago are now different today, because the spread of this influence is now catered through our media, through our use of internet and everything else. We have got keyboard warriors now that will sit behind their keyboards, and they will throw this negativity at people who are really working hard to understand what the nature of this paranormal phenomena is, and they're being struck down time after time after time after time.
Do you not think, though, Barry, that they do that because they don't understand it?
Underground.
Do you not think they do that because they don't understand it, or that they're actually afraid of doing something like what we do? I mean, myself personally, I do this because I investigate because I enjoy it. You know, it's an interest of mine. You know, and I wouldn't say I was a thrill seeker for doing it. You know, I wouldn't say that at all. I do it based purely on interest. You know, and the same with Kurt and the same with Steve, who's monitoring our chat room for us, and the guy who I'm covering for, Morris. You know, we as a team, it's a collective interest, and that's what we do. I suppose we do try and push the boundaries slightly with the way we do things. Now, the latest one we went on.
If you understand, Aaron, for instance, if we meet, for instance, in some establishment before we even go out for investigation, and we meet and we're having a great time, we have a chat, and the team comes together in that particular place, and they consume, for instance, soda drinks, fizzy drinks. Refined sugar will shut down the body's capability of identifying the true nature of that entity as it comes forward, no matter what it comes across as, whether it be a child or a dog or whatever the hell it comes across as. The fact of the matter is, the best piece of technology that we have is our body, and understanding that instinct, the way that the body processes the information, and how that information can be destroyed. Refined sugar before an investigation can shut down the body's fight or flight. So
it does.
That is an instinct that we should not ignore.
You've got a natural fear, haven't you? You know, I mean, certain places, I mean, like children, for example, you know, a lot of kids are scared of the dark. They won't go into a dark room because their fear is telling them not to. So, you know, that's they'll then retreat, or they'll look for the light switch. You know, so, you know, I suppose in and around about way, is that kind of what you're saying? To do with things like that, do you know what I mean?
Children, you see, there are two components that are going on there, because children themselves, between the ages of 1 and 7,
the most susceptible,
have a part of the brain which is wide open and taking all the information that is being told them. You can't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't do that, you can't do that, don't do that. As adults, we are programming our children. Now, also combined with that, we also have children who, between the ages of 2 and between the ages of 2 and 7, from a visual standpoint, have got a greater appreciation of a wider band of the spectrum than what we can see as adults. Between the ages of 7 and 13, that narrows down. There's a filter over our eyes that thickens and stops us from seeing into the infrared and ultraviolet spectrum. As adults, we can no longer see what we saw as children.
When do you think that break is made? Like, what age would you think? Because between 7 and 13, that break is made within the eyesight. Now, combined with that, then the unconscious programming that we're also putting in. If a child says, "Oh, well, mommy, my friend here says such and such," stop believing in that. That's wrong. That invisible friend is not there. And this subconscious programming is also affecting what is happening to the children. You got to understand that from an Eastern standpoint, we've got shaman and everything else that helps the community. Now, from a Western standpoint, what do we do with our shaman? We lock them in institutions and fill them full of drugs. We don't have an answer. We don't have an answer to shamanism in the West. We drug them all. And the process of moving into a natural shaman is then hindered because of the pharmaceuticals that get involved with the process.
Slowly killing that part of the brain off, isn't it? But exactly. I mean, my daughter, my youngest daughter is 7 years of age, and even up to quite recently, a few times she's came to me, or as we've been going to bed, it could be like early hours in the morning, and we can hear my daughter giggling and playing around in the bedroom, and you think, imaginative play. One night we walked in and said, listen, babe, why are you still awake at this time? It's like, say, 1 a.m. And she said, oh, sorry, Dad, I was playing with Grandad. Now, about 2 months prior to that, my Grandad had died. And I was like, what do you mean you're playing with Grandad? And she said, Grandad's here, he's playing with me. I said, Grandad who? You know, great Grandad Terry. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, so is he alright? Yeah, he comes to see me every single night, Dad. We always play together, and sometimes he tickles me feet and tells me to get to bed.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, right, okay, that's awesome. And the next, she started giggling. I was like, what's the matter? He's just done it now. Done what? He's just tickled me feet and told me to go to bed. And with that, she stood up, went to bed, and fell asleep. You know, and even as recent as what, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, she still says he comes to see her, as well as me nan, my great nan, my granddad's wife. She died 18 months after him, and you know she's mentioned my nan a few times, and it's been like, okay, cool. So what have they been saying? Are they all right? And you know, I won't dismiss anything like that, because you know I was really close to my grandparents, and being able to find out if they're all right, whether that's through a medium or through my daughter, I don't care. You know, if that's the way her brain's developing, then that, as far as I'm concerned, that's great. You know, and for her on a personal level to be able to.
But that in itself, is something which is very unique, I find, to the British.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And I find that the island people here, in both islands, both major islands, are very accepting to. Even to the point where there is a funeral, and you go to the wake house and you do what needs to be done, and the family member and everything else. We usually tend to find that family member will come back at some point within the next 2 months to let them know everything's okay and everything passes on.
I mean, I've seen myself.
That's something which I find is very, very unique in aspects within our own British Isles, within this area.
What?
And it's something I find which is very, very, I suppose, associated with the Celtic lore and everything else, because we very much associate the West with being the place that the ancestors go. Yeah. That's why in a Celtic aspect, you would tend to put the pictures of our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents, and everything else on the western wall of the house, because that's where we remember them.
I did not know that. See, being an American, I mean, there's a definite, you know, I mean, we're from a Western mentality, but it's something that is cultural too. To that, I think a lot of people who actually at one point there were more Irish living in America than in Ireland. And
there's still more Irish in America now, mate, than what there will be Americans.
Yeah.
I have to say, Kurt, that there are 40 million Irish Americans.
Yeah, they're tons. I mean, they're
huge.
Do you think they lose, though? Do they assimilate so much with the other cultures, though, that they lose their like true Irish heritage? Because I know Aaron's really
there is an aspect to it, but you got to understand as well that even from our folklore and our mythology, you know, you've got this element, of course, that we will often talk about, which people smirk at, about being the fairy and everything else. You go, oh yeah, Tinkerbell and everything else. Ireland and everything else, and Britain has, and Scandinavian countries have their fairies and everything else. But you got to understand that the essence of the fairy. And fairy isn't a true name for them, because fairy itself is a state in which they place you into. Fairy is a representation of a state of trance. Their true name is lost in history. But what you tend to find is that the way that they interact with us remains the same throughout history. And if you look at fairy lore 200 years ago, and you look at UFO technology today, you will find that it's the very same thing. Strip away the mask, strip away this outer mask, you will find the same thing remains the same throughout the eons of time. And the great thing that we can find from a manuscript is that this great war that happened between us and them, they lost, they got everything. We got everything, that the sun fell on. They got everything else. And even if you look at the big book itself, the Bible itself, it says that we were given dominion over all things upon the earth, not in it. And in Genesis Genesis 6 verse 4, it says, "In that time there were giants in the earth, and after." Keyword: in the earth, not on it. The clues are always there about what's in the planet and what comes through the planet. And you got to remember that all these things that interact with us, whether it be Bigfoot or UFOs or whatever the hell's going on, these things come from down below. They're not coming from up above. If you start tracking these things back through tunnel complexes and everything else, you will start to see a pattern. This is not coming from above. This is coming from below. And I am not by any means saying hollow earth. These particular things, if we look back in the 1980s into the 1990s, these things were shutting down our nuclear installations. They were saying, we really want to make sure that the earth is okay. They don't give a damn about us, and that's just something we gotta really be honest with. They don't care for us, but they need the planet to come through. And this then leads back to the ancient Irish, to the idea of these vibrations, which opens the doorway within the earth, allowing these things to come through.
How long ago did you come to this realization about this? I mean, how many years ago? How long have you been following this? And I'll say theory right now because I like to learn more about it. So anything I can't see in front of me or I don't witness, I always, even anything people call, and I always quote, I don't call it really paranormal. I don't like to use that word, unexplained. I keep it as unexplained because I can't tell you what it is. I mean, you could give theories, but how long have you been following this? This is very interesting, actually.
For years now, but really now I've really started to push it into the writing, and in particular, the first book that I really delved into it was called The Council of Three, and that was released last year, and that delves into the disappearance of 5 children in the west of Ireland, but the connections with the modern aspect of fairy traditions, which would be the UFOs and everything else, the ancient traditions and what was going on before then, and the use of acoustics and everything else. So that is the introduction to this novel series, which is coming along, telling the story in the old format.
Wow, that takes a hard right from what's being shoved down our throats right now. You're taking a hard right. You know, we're going in this direction. You're going off the beaten path.
Pull the brakes.
Yeah, I want to hear more about this.
I think it backs up what a lot of people say. You know, about being a sheep. Do you know what I mean? You're either a leader or a follower. Do you know what I mean? And I think what you're doing at the minute, Barry, is quite innovative, isn't it? You know, it's fresh, it's new. Because I've not really heard of anybody else doing that, and I mean I normally don't shut up during the VidCast. I'll tell you this, what you've been talking about, I'm trying to run it through my own mind, and it's like a blur. It's like, hang on a minute. So hang on, it started off with a curly line, and then all of a sudden you know, it's like,
I know my head's expanding like this.
Oh my days, you know. But I mean, I'm not putting a slant on that whatsoever, because it's massively interesting, and it's shocking what you can do if you just think, well, as Kate said, you know, slightly right of what we're being shown to be real, you know. And no, it's just you could carry on to do with it.
I think from my standpoint, Aaron, being where I am in the west of Ireland, I've got access to these old chambers 24/7, 365 days a year, and all of this is going on. I'm working on a self-funded documentary as well on the Sligo hum, which is this vibration which is being heard, this low-end vibration, which is also being heard in the UK as well, and also in the US, Australia, New Zealand. It's all being heard right around the world. but we're trying to understand what it is. And one unique factor that we found, a breakthrough in it, is that a lot of us are starting to hear it through the right ear. The right ear is the doorway to your intuition.
Yeah.
What the hell is happening? What's going on with this damn planet that we're not, for the majority, 4 out of 10 people are hearing this, and the rest of the people are oblivious to it.
So do you think it could be like another form of evolution?
I have no idea, because I wrote a book called Searching the She. The 2nd edition was out this year, and I visited a particular location which was known for being one of these doorways to the other world, and it was a huge cave complex in the deep within this mountain. Now I had made a makeshift campsite up on the edge of this cave system and spent the night on the mountain. And it wasn't until I spent the night on the mountain that I started to hear this vibration. Up until that point, I was oblivious to it.
Okay.
Well, I think what we need to do really is the book that you've just been saying about Searching the She. For people who aren't too familiar with Irish spelling, it's not spelt as in she, as in female. It's SIDHE. So if you're looking for it through Google, through I don't want to say Amazon in case you're trying to hit me, or any bookstores, it's not SHE as we know it. It's SIDHE.
I'll Americanize it to she, so that way.
You fuck up tons of everything anyway.
I'll take the Irish right out of it and throw America right in it for you, Barry.
And then I'll ruin the whole. In there somewhere.
Then I'll just ruin it for the world. So no, I'm kidding. I'm being very facetious, by the way. But it's interesting. I mean, what do you bring any equipment with you to try to pick up these vibrations? A
lot of the time, what I needed to do with Searching the She was to understand where these people were hundreds of years ago having these experiences, and was there anything that still lingered in the landscape today that would interact with people if they went to those locations? Because
like an air pocket in the ground.
What's that?
Like a possible air pocket in the ground where noise could reverberate around. Do you mean that type of?
No, not so much that, because in the modern sense, you see, we no longer walk the roads. We get into the car. We drive to our shops. And if we do decide to take a walk, we put earbuds in our ears and listen to our own music. We have disconnected ourselves from the landscape. It doesn't mean to say that these things still don't happen. It's just the fact that we are no longer aware of it happening.
We've lost.
So what I did is removed a lot of the equipment and placed myself in those environments and spent the night at these places to see what would happen. Now, one particular location known as Knocknashee, which means Hill of the Fairy, I spent the night up there. It's a settlement which is around 3000 BC. And on top of this mountain, they appeared to me, and I was able to see them. I was able to see 2 of them walking side by side. One was taller than the other, yet my camera would only see one.
Wow!
They were different colors as well.
And you're a tech guy too.
I can't explain why, on a technological level, I'm seeing 2. The camera's seeing 1. And that was a photograph then that I put into the book Searching the She, so that people could see what I was seeing. Well, part of it, because there's only one of them that the camera was picking up on.
So you were saying to do with the vibrations and things like that, and you wanted to remove all types of modern equipment. You said a lot of people can hear like the humming of it. Now this might sound a bit stupid, because in my own mind it sounds really stupid as well. But with the removal of the equipment that you use on, say, Ghost Hunters, for example, with the vibrations, would it be picked up with, say, like a glass of water, if you get what I mean? If you put it on a flat surface, do you think you'd be able to get like a ripple effect from a slight vibration in that sense? I have been able
to record it with equipment that I use. It's at 47 hertz, very, very low.
It's very white low, isn't it?
It's very, very low, but this travels for miles, and it's produced from our ocean. Something is lifting. Something is happening in our ocean and lifting. And for the life of me, and for the scientists that I spoke to, they can't understand why the noise is coming from the ocean onto our land.
Is it tectonics? Is it plate tectonics? Kind of, are they picking up some off?
We don't know.
It could be to do with drilling for oil. It could
off
be
the west
anything.
coast of Ireland, we had a large amount of whale and dolphin beachings that were happening this year.
Okay.
Now, and I thought to myself, this must be tied in. It actually wasn't tied in. There's something else going on there. The sound itself, what I can associate it, well, I say it loosely associate it with, is that the time that it got exceptionally bad, which was in the end of June, early July, the only thing that I can try and figure out what the hell was going on is the Hadron Collector in Switzerland.
Now we've just
the thing that was happening there. Their time period fitted into that area. Now, if it's the same, I can't say. All I can say is it's a unique coincidence that we find the two things connected.
See, now we actually covered this with Nigel Watson. Well, I say covered it. It was a brief discussion. He was asked about it but it was printed in the Metro newspaper, the ones you get free on the buses. Over there, and he'd been asked a couple of questions on the Hadron Collider, and but this was all to do with like summoning the Antichrist. People think it's going to summon the Antichrist.
They do, yeah.
It's. I mean, personally, nah. Yeah.
I mean, there was one person said to me that it was the actual logo itself is in reference to 666. That's not the case. This is it was in reference to a wormhole. The logo is a wormhole. It's a reference to a wormhole. It's not. This is something completely different. All I can say is that it was unusual that the worst case of the vibration that we were hearing day and night came at the same time that the collider was running full steam this year.
That's a lot of power when you think about that. If it's able to do that worldwide, it's kind of, if they take it up a notch, it's kind of scary in a sense. But I'm not saying it because I'm a person that I believe in science. No, not going out and investigating with a whole bunch of different things. But I'm not a real religious person. I'm not spiritual. I tend to go the scientific route. Prove it, I want to see absolute proof because I'm just, maybe it's as we talked about earlier, aging. I'm getting more skeptical when I get older that I really want to see the proof in this, and it's just the thought of it blows my freaking mind. I'll be honest with you on that.
Yeah, you ought to be in my seat.
Jesus, you're there. Yeah, you're ground zero almost for that. It's unbelievable, man. I mean, this is heavy stuff you're talking about too. I mean, it's not just your everyday kind of deal. See, now if they put that in Ghost Hunters International, that would have been awesome.
We would have been taken off the air.
Taken off the air and slung straight in the neck. I mean, if we could just move on from where we are at the moment, you've got starting around September. You've got a pretty hectic schedule, haven't you? Where you're bouncing between here and you're hopping over the muddy puddle towards America. You're kicking off in September, September the 4th to the 6th at the Kansas City Irish Festival in Missouri.
So I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic celebration, and there's about half a million folks that pass through that weekend.
Wow!
In Kansas City, Missouri, and the music is absolutely mighty. And I also introduce folks, the Irish Americans there, to our heritage, to our folklore, to our myth. And I speak about the Fae, and I speak about the Banshee, and a lot of the other paranormal stuff that goes on with on this island itself. Small but very active.
You've actually, it's interesting how you distance yourself from the paranormal to take it to another step, and I think a lot of Irish Americans have lost the culture thing here, because in the States, the only people that go out on St. Patty's Day are your amateur drunks, is like we like to say. You know, your amateur drinkers. They run around with the shamrocks and do this. Well, my great grandfather. No, I was doing the Aaron dance.
In all honesty, pal, you know, America as a unit, amateur drinkers, mate. If me and Barry went over there, we'd make a show of you.
Aaron.
You know what I mean? It'd just be like,
but you're
come
not
on,
Aaron.
Let's get on it. We're going to get caned here. We're going to show you how to stand against the lamppost.
You're not tall enough to get into the bar. They're going to ask for 4 forms of ID, and you're on the no-fly list. So, dude, you're screwed. I'll be talking to Barry while you're sitting there raising your 6.
And I think next week we call him a leprechaun or something around that way, will you? Yeah,
no, you're not a leprechaun. Nah, dude.
No, I don't mind.
St. Patrick's Day in Ireland is very subdued.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a massive celebration, is it over there?
It's actually not, surprisingly.
It's like St. George's Day over here, except, you know, a few people will go out and celebrate it. It's just the country, I think, as a rule, don't celebrate it because I don't think we're supposed to anymore, in case it's not politically correct.
Are you serious, though, on that?
Oh, mate, honestly, it's ridiculous.
That's your heritage, dude. I mean, think about not being able to celebrate your heritage.
A fella, right, got arrested. Not arrested, sorry. He got fined, right? A copper pulled him over, right, because he had St. George's flag on a little tiny thing, no bigger than your laptop screen, right?
Okay.
Little nylon flag, which was on a little plastic pole about yay high, which can attach to your car window, and you can shut the window to keep it pegged in. Copper pulled him over, and he said, "You need to take that flag off your car." And he went, "No." He said, I'm English, and I want to celebrate my heritage. And he said, "Well, you know, a lot of people are offended by it. Are you offended?" "No." "Well, what's your problem?" And he got took to court and everything. He got fined originally by the copper £100. And when he went to court, they doubled it, I think, and made him pay court costs and a victim surcharge.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. Honestly, mate, it's ridiculous.
If you consider the changes that were even, you know, the alterations that were being made to the American Constitution over the past several years, you know, you consider yourself, oh, what the hell's going on? Even in Ireland here, we're seeing changes to our Constitution from these politicians, which are meant to be voted in to represent us. You know, I said, what the hell's going on here?
See, now the way I see it, I mean, without trying to get into the whole political scene, because I could go on all night with it, mate, because I seriously feel like I've been rodded good and proper by the government.
We'll probably end up on a list right as we speak.
So, mate, believe, I've got a hit list, and it's only got one name on it so far, and the little arsehole lives down in London. But you know, it's you know, we vote them in, so I'm assuming therefore we're kind of like their boss.
Well,
you know what I mean? That's the way I see it. Listen, I vote you in because you've got my vote. Do you know what I mean? So surely if we vote them in, we can vote them out again. But they haven't got the knackers today.
Look what's going on in America. It's turned into like a bizarro circus on the political scale, and I'm almost it's like I'm at the point where I'm almost embarrassed that it's going to come in your direction real soon if people don't wake up. Because
believe me, it's already here.
Oh my God!
It's just a slow infestation, mate. That's all it is. That's what it boils down.
Global. This is global, and I have to say, credence on kudos on the Greeks. They decided, to hell with everybody. We're off doing our own thing, and I got to say, well, you know what? I support the Greeks. I like that.
Yeah, they went bankrupt and they've come back a bit now, haven't they? You know, you've got to give them the dues for that, because it's, you know, it takes a lot for a country to go bankrupt. You'd never think a country would be able to go bankrupt, and then all of a sudden Greece happens, and it's like, okay, what now? Well, all we do is restart again, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough.
If you ask your average American what's going on in Greece, and believe me, I love this country, but your average American, doesn't understand what's going on, where they neglected to pay back the debt in euros that they owe, and they're pretty much snubbing it. I think, aren't they snubbing it in?
They pretty much are, but you got to understand that the Germans have turned around and said, we're not acknowledging your vote.
Oh, okay.
You will continue to pay this. Ironically, though, the Germans still owe the Greeks a huge amount of money, which they haven't paid.
It wouldn't that have covered their debt though as well? I think that was something I read. What the Germans would have covered their debt or something. The Greek debt or something weird. But no, I think we should move on from this because I'm going to end up losing.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think I see things happening here. I just don't want to.
Europe.
The headphones are coming back just because of the steam. It's like they're lifting. It's not good, mate. It really isn't.
It became a political forum all of a sudden. They didn't realize we lured them in with paranormal, and then we punched.
What we'd have to do there is try and rebook Barry for to come on with HD for the conspiracy corner.
Yeah, they have a great show, Barry. They have the conspiracy.
We can talk about Fort Knox being a false place and there's no gold there whatsoever. Definitely. Fort Knox is probably the only place I know of where the cleaner has took in the vacuum cleaner, done a bit of cleaning around the Hoovers ended up with asthma, so it's one of them things, But so you've got, as I say, with right.
We're not quite Greece yet, dude. That's all I got to say, man.
I should have kept quiet, shouldn't I? So we've covered the Kansas City Irish Festival. You've got again, just to recap on it, you've got that between the 4th and the 6th of September. Then you're flying back over to Ireland, where on the 19th and the 20th of September you've got All Ireland Paracon.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's in Boyle, over the west coast here. Thoroughly looking forward to it. We're covering aspects of the paranormal, ufology, remote viewing, alternative therapies, and things like that. Thoroughly looking forward to it. There's going to be great lectures and everything going ahead there. And also Joe Chin, my comrade, is also coming across. He'll be spending some time with us here on the west coast. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing him because we're running a ghost hunt as well at the event.
Can you tell Joe that I'm not a stalker? I just want to get him on the show.
Yes, you are.
I have my own fan page. You just don't know about it yet, Barry. Wait till it comes out. I'm kidding with you, man. I'm steadily kidding.
That's not a fan page, mate. That's just a little record.
Ever, dude. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. It's a crack, dude. That's it.
From the All Ireland Paracon, I'm assuming it's America again. From the 1st to the 4th of October, it seems like every couple. Your air miles must be brilliant.
First class, first class, all the way.
You've got
Paradigm Symposium.
Say that again.
Paradigm Symposium over in Minnesota, and that's run by Scotty Roberts and Dr. John Ward. And that in itself is a huge symposium, which is alternative thinkers, different researchers into Egyptology, into the Celtic lore, and looking at the new evidence that's coming forward, which challenges what we're told within our schools and institutions, and fantastic lectures that are planned in Minnesota, and thoroughly looking forward to it. It's in the Crown Plaza Hotel, of course, in the Mall of America up in Minnesota, and that's going to be a fantastic weekend, and definitely something that for folks that if they can't make it, I would definitely recommend meeting up with the guys there and having a chat.
Oh, it does sound good. I mean, Kate, how far away are you from there?
Minnesota. I'm in Washington D.C. area, so that's halfway across the country for me.
That's not too bad then, really, is it?
Well, my frequent flyer miles are down in the so I fly cheapoair.com. Seriously, I'm going anyway. I'm on cheapoair.com.
Finding at the motorway, thumbing a lift. From America, you're back over into Scotland, Perth.
That's right.
That's 2 days after my birthday. The 16th to the 18th of October, Perth Paranormal Festival.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely looking forward to it. This is the second year that has happened, and it's a fantastic experience for everybody involved. Many different researchers there, from dowsers to paranormal researchers and everything else. Wonderful experience for everybody. There are many different events happening which they can link onto through their website, the Perth Paranormal Festival, on Facebook, and they're able to check up on what's happening there and get their tickets. It's a great event. This is the second year running, and we're thoroughly looking forward to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Do they have to pay for the name, basically? I mean, to use the Ghost Hunter, I'm sure that's copyrighted, the Ghost Hunter Internationals. I mean, does that are they funding this, or are?
Oh no, that's my picture.
Oh no, that's you. No, you know what I'm saying, Barry. You know, when it comes to rights and this and that and all the above.
Advertising, yeah.
That's all done. We finished filming that show in October 2011.
Oh, geez, that's been that long. Wow.
A long time ago, yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, okay. That one's not that far from me, actually. From after that one, the 21st to the 23rd of October, you've got Paraforce UK in Nottingham.
Yep, that's right. That's in the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham, and we filmed there. We filmed an episode of GHI there. And we're looking forward to going back. And this is something which just came forward there a few days ago. And I must say, also fitting in with this, just before the Paraforce UK, there is a haunted cruise, which is leaving for Alaska in September. And we're thoroughly looking forward to that as well. The haunted cruises are a fantastic idea, and we've got the same company coming across to Ireland in Halloween this year, and we've got the folks to be able to join us from that event for an entire week's stay in Ireland, where we examine the whole Celtic mythology of Halloween, what it was about. People get very hands-on into the old aspects of Halloween, and even on Halloween night, we're going to County Meath, where we go to the Hill of Ward, where you're taken by candle or flame torches up to the Hill of Ward, where this ceremony, which mimics the old Celtic ceremonies.
Wow.
And of Halloween, and getting right back to the nitty-gritty of what it really was.
Yeah.
What it is, yeah, instead of the retail aspect of what Halloween is, much like, I suppose.
See, I know from my auntie, my cousin lives over in Michigan, and she said Halloween over in America is bigger than Christmas.
Okay, here's how it works in America. Once your Halloween's done, Halloween's all about candy. Well, growing up, it was about taking other people's candy, but I stopped that 5 years ago because I got in trouble. I'm kidding with you guys. I'm just kidding with you guys. Yeah, as my gut. That's why I sit back like this the whole time. But aside from that, though, it's so commercialized that the moment Halloween is finished, and Aaron's so right on that what his aunt is saying, that Christmas stuff is up, and I'm going like, hold on. There used to be a thing in the whole American thing about Thanksgiving, which is all wrong in the history books anyway, but that's just the way it rolls as it goes to winners and losers and stuff like that. But there used to be a time period where we call it, the day after is Black Friday. You guys, you guys got to deal with that too. I mean, the commercialization of a lot of things. I mean, I think Halloween is it big in the UK and in other islands around it? I mean, out of curiosity.
Certainly in mainland Europe, Halloween's not big, but the Halloween itself was born in Ireland, and that's where it was brought across, of course, into the US, and then it was sold back to us under the retail flags.
In movies and everything else like that.
A huge thing, which it wasn't really destined to do.
But I wonder when commercialization took off. Because I've seen I love old pictures of these old costumes that people wear. That's creepy stuff. Stuff that they sell now is just like a parody of a politician, of somebody famous, you know, and stuff like that. Miley Cyrus, there you go. And it's lost the historical meaning, and we're never taught that as Americans. We're never taught the real meaning of when Halloween, what is Halloween, how was it, who was involved actually in it. We're not taught that. We're taught time to go out, get candy, get fatter than we are right now. You know, put another notch in your belt.
I have to say that you guys have it easy because you've got pumpkins. We had turnips.
You have what now? Say that again, Barry.
You had pumpkins to hollow out. We had turnips.
Oh, jeez.
And I can tell you what, you see, as a child holding a knife, trying to hollow out a turnip, and many children ended up in intensive care, or didn't even make it to intensive care when that knife slipped, trying to hollow out the turnip. You guys have it really easy with the pumpkins.
Yeah, kids has a difficult time trying to carve out a roast potato.
Yeah, I'd have to send it overseas to one of these guys to do it for me and pay for it to get shipped back to me. I tend to do things sometimes the easy way, you know, if there's a pumpkin. But did they actually use the jack-o'-lanterns, as they used to call it in America? Is that ever there in Halloween? I mean, is the celebration? The turnips are.
Yeah, we were using turnips, and turnips are a nightmare to hollow out.
Longer.
One slip of the knife could be fatal.
Turnip. I never knew Halloween was dealing with turnips, and that to me is awesome. It's like my goal in life is to learn one thing new every day, no matter what it is, what not to do, what to do, or what I'm told to do, what should I do it or not. But you know, today it's turnips. You know, we weren't busy. I wasn't busy talking history with anybody that really came in. I was kind of doing some other stuff I told Aaron about, but at work. But dude, turnips. I did not know that.
It'll move forward and progress, you know, as time moves on for turnips, pumpkins. You know, this time in 10 years, they could be using a peach. You know, it could
evolution right there at its best.
You know, it's one of those things, and even then it might be genetically modified, so just be careful what you carve out.
Whatever gets in your pores, get it out quick.
That's it, like, get it out, because if you start glowing green, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. It's almost time to wrap up the show right now. Barry, I want to thank you big time for coming on.
Yeah,
we really had a blast. I mean, seriously. And now in my head, I got to wrap it around another sleepless night of this whole circle there, the whole thing like this, and the vibrations, and how does it work in the super collider. You brought your game. You brought your game.
Not going to sleep for the next week. Listening out for vibrations. You're going to be panicking.
I'm just going to sit there like this the whole time, just pure quiet. Was that it, you know, before they evict me for freaking out about day number 10.
He'll be stirring his coffee. This is what's going to happen in the morning. He'll be stirring his coffee up, and because it's swirling round one way, he's going to... Oh, sorry, I can hear a vibration here. And honestly, he will not sleep. It's ridiculous. No. You know.
We have weird sleeping habits. I mean, I don't really. Aaron doesn't. He's gotten back on track, I guess. But this morning I was up at 5 in the morning. It's all right, dude. You know how it goes, man. But Barry, we want to thank you. So we're just going to close up shop right now. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And go out and buy Barry's books. No, don't go to Kindle. Go buy the books.
Yeah, he will find you and bring you down.
Yeah, they will blow your mind.
Get the expensive hardback ones, not the cheap shit you get on e-readers, because he will kill you. Also, it might be worth taking a look for a lot of people who are interested in a lot of the books. Because on this website here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, Barry didn't even know how many books that he had. He said 7. And as a true Irishman, he said 7. He's being really, really modest. It's 8. He's lying. If you log on to www.charmstealer.com, did you come up with that one, Barry?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you? Oh, look at you, you silver tongue smooth. You know, you can catch up with an awful lot of what Barry's got going on. As I say, you've got the books, you've got a bio filming. I wish this computer would stop messing me about. The events that we've covered today, and basically any filming updates and things like that. If you want to know, it's there. Again, it's www.charmstealer.com. So get yourselves over and have a good mooch around.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this week, Thursday, we got the Conspiracy Corner with Ed Bogrowski. Am I correct on that, sir?
That's correct, my mate. Yeah.
Okay, and what topic are you going to cover, or is it just kind of a roundabout? How do you guys have that planned?
It's a surprise.
That's good enough. All right, surprises are always more fun than the mundane, right? All right,
you might need to show up. It's that much of a surprise.
Oh yeah, you're one to talk, buddy. You are so one to talk. All right, next Sunday, catch Stephen Foy and myself as we have on Ben Hansen from Fact or Fake, and we'll catch up to see what Ben's been up to, and everybody else. Have a great night.
Before we do go, Kate, I think what we should do is get everybody who watches this to vote on whether we get Morris to come back or not, since he's buggered off to Rill for 2 weeks.
He's in between a Turk and a Greek right now, so I don't want to get involved in that. That's his personal business, wherever he is, you know. I had to say that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I had to say it. Because usually we start out with it, Barry, but this time we didn't, and then we end just on like the note, you know, like just end on the. But this time I had to,
We've lulled them into a false sense of security where he thought they've made it all the way through the show and they've not put the knife in and give it a good twist. Well, guess what? You know, I'm going to run you through.
Oh, I'll get to hear about that one later,
and
dude.
we've got 3 more shows to do without him as well, which is going to be the really funny thing. Because we can really kick him when he's down.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, 2, you're right, yeah, 2.
Yeah, we got on Bill Hall. He's got a book coming out, and definitely like that. So join us, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night, and see ya.
Bye.